Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Anne Gant. I'm the head of film conservation and digital access at I. Many of you who have come here before are used to seeing Giovanna Fossati in this spot, but I'm very happy and honored to be able to take her place today. She's at a conference in Thailand and can't be here, but sends her warm regards to you all. For those of you who haven't been at this series before, I'll tell you just a tiny bit about the This Is Film series. It's a collaboration which was started in 2015 between I, the University of Amsterdam, and the Amsterdam School for Cultural Analysis. In particular, this series is carried out with the master's students of This Is Film, and there are 31 of them, so welcome, a special warm welcome to them today here in the audience. These sessions are recorded, and they'll be made available online in a few weeks. So we've done that for the last two editions, for the last 2 years. Those are viewable on the iFilm website, and they're a great resource. I really recommend that you look at them if you haven't seen them already. The reason that This Is Film was started 8 years ago is that we feel that there's what happens behind the scenes in an archive is extremely important to kind of bring to the forefront and to understand how a film finally arrives on the screen, has a great history of surviving to that point, being cared for in archives, and also how films that are currently being made will be carried forward into the future. So we like to unveil that process of archiving. That's what we are talking about during This Is Film. It's a glimpse into the hard work that's performed by archives around the world, and often in much more adverse conditions than you see here at I. So we applaud the work of archivists all over the world. I want to give you, because this is a really loaded program today, I'm super excited about it, I wanted to give you a little extra clue into the scheduling. I'm speaking now very quickly. The P&P students will come and introduce our fabulous guest speaker. He will come and tell you a whole bunch of great stories and show you a few surprise videos. And then we hope to have a little bit of time for a Q&A, so you can start thinking of your smart questions. We hope to have time for all of that. Then I'm going to give you about a 10-minute break because the film that we're going to see is indeed a classic Bollywood film, so it has a long running time and there won't be an intermission. But I need your cooperation to take a 10-minute break, and then come back to the cinema in time so we can start. So it's a long program with a bunch of exciting pieces, and without further ado, oh wait, no, I have one more slide to show you. Sorry. This conference, which will be coming up next, also focuses a little bit on the theme of the issues that Shivendra will talk about today. It's called Activating the Archive, and there'll be about 60 speakers from around the world, and it focuses on audiovisual archives and how they can stimulate people to engage with social and political causes, support the efforts of archivists, and use communal resources with global and local projects. So if you're interested, the dates are there. We'll be back here. It's going to be great. And now I'd like to invite our P&P student, Esther, to come and introduce our guest. Thank you.
Well, hopefully that works. There we go. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Shivendra Singh Dungarpur is a renowned figure in the world of Indian film conservation. Through his work as an award-winning filmmaker and in his role as founder and director of the Film Heritage Foundation, he has been instrumental in creating awareness about the need to preserve India's rich cinematic heritage. Shortly after completing a degree in history, Shivendra moved to Mumbai to begin his film career working as an assistant director to the famed poet and director Gulzar, before going on to study direction and screenwriting at the Film and Television Institute of India. Following his graduation, he established his own production company, Dungarpur Films, under whose banner he has produced and directed nearly 1,000 commercials, documentaries, and short films. His first documentary, Celluloid Man, a tribute to the legendary Indian film archivist P.K. Nair, was the recipient of 2 national awards and has been screened at dozens of film festivals across the globe. The Immortals, his second documentary, exploring the history of Indian cinema through the examination of artifacts, spaces, and living memories, was awarded the Special Jury Award for Best Film at the Mumbai International Film Festival in 2016. His most recent documentary, Checkmate, on the life and work of Czech New Wave filmmaker Jiří Menzel, premiered at the Il Cinema Ritrovato Festival in 2019. Expanding his passion for cinema from filmmaking to the realm of preservation, Shivendra collaborated with Martin Scorsese's World Cinema Project on 2 world-class film restorations, Uday Shankar's Kalpana, which premiered at the Cannes Film Festival in 2012, and Sri Lankan filmmaker Dr. Lester James Perry's Nidanaya, which premiered at the Venice Film Festival in 2013. Following the success of these restorations, Shivendra founded the Film Heritage Foundation in 2014. The organization is dedicated to supporting the conservation, preservation, and restoration of the moving image in India, and to developing interdisciplinary programs to create awareness about the language of cinema. The only non-governmental organization in India working in the field of film preservation, the Film Heritage Foundation plays a vital role in the conservation of the nation's film heritage. In addition to holding a growing collection of films and film-related memorabilia, the Foundation's work is wide-ranging, from oral history projects to publishing books, to programming film festivals and screenings of classic Indian films across the country and throughout the world. The Foundation is also committed to training future audiovisual archivists in India and beyond through their ongoing series of training workshops in film preservation. Some of the Foundation's recent projects include the multi-city retrospective Bakhchan Back to the Beginning, and 2 new collaborations with the World Cinema Project and the Cineteca di Bologna, restorations of G. Aravindan's films Kumati, which premiered at the Il Cinema Ritrovato Festival in 2021, and Thump, which premiered at the Cannes Film Festival in 2022. Later this month, the Foundation will be premiering their latest restoration, Aribam Siam Sharma's Ishanu, as part of this year's selections at Cannes Classics. Above and beyond his work as a filmmaker and as founder and director of the Film Heritage Foundation, Shivendra is a member of the Artistic Committee of the Il Cinema Ritrovato Film Festival and the Honorary Committee of the Eastman Museum's Nitrate Picture Show, a supporting member of the Fondazione Cineteca di Bologna, and sits on the Board of Trustees of the Geomami Mumbai Film Festival. He's recently been elected to FIAF's Executive Committee for the 4th time, a role in which he's served since 2017. We're very happy to have him with us at this session today, and please join me in welcoming him here today.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this wonderful introduction. I want to thank the IFM Museum, the director who's here, and Givona who's not here, and all our friends who've taken the effort to bring me down here to the museum. And it's always very lovely to come back and also see a little less of the sun, because we get so much of sun in India that I'm happy. I don't know what you feel, but I'm happy to see no sun for a while. I think it's when we before I talk about a little bit about the foundation and a little bit about what we did with Bachchan Back to the Beginning, I was just talking to our friends, and I was just telling them a little perspective about the Indian film industry. I think you must all understand that in India, we are about 10 film industries, 10 prominent film industries. So when you say a word called Bollywood, we don't like using that word. That means Hindi cinema, which is only limited to Bombay. We also have 4 South Indian states. We've got Bengal on the east, Assam, Orissa. So we are 10 prominent filmmaking states producing over 2,500 films, which is more than double of what Hollywood does. And then we make films in 55 languages, which is really tough for the censor board. Really tough. So you can imagine the number of censor board sessions you've got to have. That's why it's so difficult to get a slot with the censor board, because for every screening, there could be a different languages. And they're all released all over India. And you can also just imagine what a foundation, which we set up in 2014, the role it has to play when you're going to start preserving heritage across India. When I started Film Heritage Foundation in 2014, I was really busy in my filmmaking career. I had no time. I never thought about preserving. I was just constantly just shooting from one end to the other, 4 commercials a month, trying to make fiction films. And had it not been for Martin Scorsese to tell me about Bologna and my visit to the Il Cinema Ritrovato Festival, where I started seeing restorations and made me go back to Pune, where I was a student, and to the National Archive, and realize that we've lost 99% of our silent film heritage and 60 to 70% of our heritage, overall heritage of films. We never knew what preservation was or what restoration was. I think the whole idea of starting a foundation was to make people aware. So our challenges are very different as compared to all archives across the world, because here we are more in a rescue mission. We are trying to save. Restoration to me is always a first world concept. I've always said that. First, we need to find the material. And only when we have the material, we'll be able to digitize, we'll be able to show it to people. And that's what the foundation has been doing all this while. And it's such an important part that we constantly find material thrown away in godowns, in silver scavengers, bangle makers, all kinds of exciting. And I think that's where the excitement comes for me, is the fact that as a filmmaker, I had to find something more exciting to do. And what better way to spend a day is in my free time is to go and rescue films or find films. And that's what the journey of Film Heritage Foundation has been. So I'm going to just quickly take you through what the foundation is all about, so that when we talk about Bachchan back to the beginning, you will get a bit of perspective. We set up in 2014, and you can see by our mandate, I'm not going to go too in depth with this, but this is, of course, Amitabh Bachchan, our biggest superstar. If you do not know what an Indian superstar is, you have to Google him and see it. He's almost like a prophet. He's almost like a pope. Hundreds of people waiting outside on Sunday just to get a glimpse of him. So Bachchan's one tweet, it means the whole nation knows it. So that's how powerful. And he became our brand ambassador in 2015. He's been so actively involved in supporting the cause. And he's also a recipient of the FIAF Lifetime Achievement Award. Yeah. This is our board of advisors. Gianluca Farnelli of the Bologna, Cineteca di Bologna is there, Christophe Zanussi, and a lot of other prominent figures from the Indian film industry are there. One of the main things is that we set up only in 2014. So our collection is not so large. We are still building on it because there was a National Film Archive. So we've started collecting in 35, 16, Super 8, 9.5, and 70 mm. And we have films of some of the very big filmmakers now, Shyam Benegal, Mani Ratnam, Kumar Shani, and some very prominent contemporary filmmakers like Vishal Bhardwaj. So mostly our collection is varied in that sense. This is some bit of work at FHF. One of the biggest challenges for us was that we used to find films. On the right side, can you see it? It's a 1950 film. It's a film made in Goa, which used to be a Portuguese colony, and it's the only Portuguese surviving film from the 1950. And somebody got this to me in a newspaper wrapped up, and we knew that most of the elements we find are in this kind of condition. So we had to train people up. More than restoration is to rescue, how to rescue nitrate and acetate. And we are very proud to say that we built a whole conservation center around rescuing these films. And thanks to the training we got from Bologna, we are able to treat these films and bring them back. And you can see the result right at the bottom there, very interesting story. She just passed away, the actress of this film. When I showed her the clip, she called her children and she said, "Now do you believe I've acted in a film?" So that's what happens. This is all our collection with films. We've got a lot of posters, lobby card, books, a lot of other material which we preserve with it. We've got conservators. We take a lot of importance on photographic conservation. Means shooting pictures on the set, off the set, and during the shoot of the film. This is, of course, Shyam Benegal, who, I mean, when we collected all his material, it was in his office, and you can see boxes being prepared. This, of course, is another prominent filmmaker, Girish Kasarwali, who was part of the Indian New Wave. But I want to show you some of the rescue missions we have done across. You can see this. You would have never seen something like these. You can see that we are rescuing this from a suburb in Mumbai. And what about this house built on film cans? It's one of the most stunning. Many of them had films in it, and we had to really bargain hard to get the films out and replace it with something in it because they didn't see that important. But this is in a suburb in Mumbai. This is a colony, or this is a settlement. Their main profession is to remove silver from these films. So you have to pay them off with keeping that in mind. This is another place where we found a lot of films, and we had to rescue them also. This is from a very famous studio, Raj Kapoor studio, RK studio, which burned down. And you can see the rescue mission which we carried forward at that studio to save and rescue all those films. Yeah. This is our two restorations. One of our main goal of the foundation is to find those films which were important at one point of time, which were also very regional, but don't have support. And how to then find material on that. I mean, both Thump and Kumiti, the original camera negative did not survive. And we had prints or dupe negative made from a print. And when there is such a scarce amount of material and with no sound negative surviving, we have to work very hard in restoring these films. So this is one of our challenges, and that's why we try and do unusual films. We try and find regional films. We try and find films which have no support. And this year we did Ishanu, which is a beautiful film from Manipur, one of the states, the 10 filmmaking states. And this is the first restoration from that part in the northeast of India. It's people also looks very different on this part. And when I was seeing the restoration tests in Mexico at the Cineteca Nacional when I was there were a lot of people there watching, and they thought that they're Mexican. So when you see this film, you will see the different part of India, which is not essentially what we relate with Bollywood. Yeah. This is, of course, we're going to talk later, but this is Bachchan back to the beginning, and I'm going to talk separately about this. We have done various programs. Christopher Nolan and Tacita team came, and we did reframing of the future of film, where we discussed the future of film. We did a round table. This round table is constructed specially for this. This is part of what I love, making my own sets. I design my own posters, and that's why I like that part of my work too. And we had all prominent members from museums, art, film festivals, industry. The big Shah Rukh Khan, who's really one of the biggest superstars today, is also there, and we invited everybody to discuss with Chris Nolan and Tacita. Our workshops, which we are very well known for, we have done 8 workshops over the years, and we did it in different parts of the country. And again, for us, when we began the workshops in 2015, we knew that the workshops have to be free because we had to build a whole team of conservators. We also give them a hope that there is something called conservation. There is film conservation as a part of it could be a job for you tomorrow. And in order to do that, we had to offer scholarships. We had to go to different parts of the country and convince people to do this workshop. And we also added photographic conservation and poster conservation along with film conservation and digital conservation. So we've done 8. We have trained over 500 people across the subcontinent. And also when we started, we knew that most of the Sri Lankan films, Nepalese films from Afghanistan, Bangladesh, were all being post-produced in India. So we started working also in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh, Nepal. We helped build the archive in Nepal. We helped build the archive in Sri Lanka. We trained people up at the 2 archives in Afghanistan, and that was very challenging. And then we also built an archive in Manipur. And I think more than anything else, those challenges and reaching out to people, working with people, and trying to find not the ideal way of preservation. You've got to find indigenous ways. You've got to find what is available in these locations. So like when we were in Colombo, in Sri Lanka, we found that there was, at that time, the prominent director, Lester James Perrys, was alive. And he invited me because we had done a restoration of his film. And he said, there is a godown full of nitrate films and we need to rescue them. And we did, there were no people there. There were no volunteers. There was no archive. So we did a voluntary thing. And I remember long queues of people coming from everywhere. We had to train. And 2 people from FIAF, Mick Newnham and David Walsh, came with me. And we quickly trained them up in just a day. And it was almost like a drill that they had to, we told them the steps, pull out the film from here, do this, do that. And those cans were jammed. They were rusted. And we had to break open them. I don't know whether I have pictures there, but that was just an amazing also when we had to train people from Afghanistan. And these were people who had saved films from the Taliban at that time. Even thankfully now, many of them who ran away after that thing have been found a job in Germany. And the FIAF is also trying to help them rehabilitate them. And Nepal was also extremely challenging for us. Yeah. So these are some of our workshops. This was in 2021, I think. Yeah, in Hyderabad. This one. Now, of course, one next to me is Rajamouli. He also was part of the workshop. His film won an Oscar, which is RRR, which is, if you've not heard of it, it is the rave of in America at least, you know. So he also was part of the workshop. Yeah. So these are all our workshop classes. You can see from scanning, from film repair, to also to different aspects of costume, everything. We try and do as many workshops as possible. In fact, we're doing a very interesting workshop in July, which is film projection, which will happen in July with digital and film. We're going to do that. These are our oral history programs. We record different personalities on their lives, and we have proper researchers, and we discuss with them. Yeah. Our children's program is very popular. We do film heritage with them. We show them old films, 16mm specifically. I love children, you know. I was, by the way, I was a child specialist director. Out of 1,000 commercials, I must have shot at least 200 with just kids, from 4-month-old to all kinds, you know. So I just love children, and spending time with them, not treat them like kids, is just an amazing experience. Publications, and this is our vision, which we've got the land, we've got an architect to do it, but now it's the funding and lots of aspects. Is what we are trying to build is the new conservation center in Mumbai, and it's sort of taken a large part from from our old wells and stone structures and old architecture, which I'm a big fan of. And I believe that in order to move ahead, you need to go back to the past. And this is from the past, but it's modern, keeping that in mind. Yeah. So this is what we intend to do. Yeah. Thank you. So this is just about the foundation. Yeah. Now we can just talk about the Bachchan back to the beginning. So last year, with COVID, there was people weren't going to the movie theaters in India too, and films for us is the only two things which is our culture. One is cricket, the other is film. Both are extremely close to our culture. I mean, people are crazy about these two things, but they weren't really going. And I was just thinking that Mr. Bachchan is turning 80. What can I do to create some kind of movement to have people go back to cinemas? And I wrote to him that I want to show some of your films. And he wrote back an email and said, don't show my early films, show my latest films. And I don't like his latest films, actually. So I sort of ignored that mail and went about finding about 11 films of his, which I grew up on. You know, I'm a big Bachchan freak. And we all are. We are crazy about Amitabh Bachchan. I've got kicked out of classes in my history honors. I've done everything possible. Now that he's so close to the foundation, I have a great relationship. But it's still when you can only sense who he is when you're with him. No photograph, nothing can do justice. And he's dominated not only India, but he's dominated major part even in Africa, even in Asia, parts of Asia. People are crazy. Wherever the Bollywood films have traveled, Amitabh Bachchan is a household name. So much so that a few years ago, he landed in Egypt and he had to fly back because there were just too many people on the airport and on the tarmac. They just ran through him and he had to take the flight back. So people are so crazy about him. So I went to PVR and I said, and I think this is important for us to understand, is how to bring heritage close to you. When in COVID, people were not going to the movie theaters because when you have an institution at times, people don't want to travel that far. When you're staying in a place like Bombay or in Delhi it's a bit complicated because we don't have such a good public transport. I mean, Bombay still has, but it is quite a distance to go and watch a film at the other end, South Bombay or Delhi. And I thought, why limit it to one institution? Because probably the idea came to me because we didn't have a space or we didn't have a thing. And I told PVR, what if we screen these 11 films in 20 cities at the same time? And they said, are you crazy? Who will come? Let's just do it in one cinema hall. And this is PVR, which is a multiplex chain. And I said, no, let's try this out. I'm sure people will come. Let's try it. And I think they bought into me because they had no choice and they were not sure. And I did a training with the projectionists because they were all different aspect ratios. But of course, on the days of screening, it was chaotic. I was getting messages from people sitting in different cities. I had all the projectionists on my WhatsApp call. And I myself coordinated with it. 1.33 was shown in some other format and thing. It was difficult because it was during COVID. And that is why you see the sense, why am I doing film projection workshop now? Because this became such a huge hit. We also didn't expect because people were not leaving the theater. There were shows which were shown back to back again because they said, people just went crazy seeing heritage. So we did another festival after that on Dilip Kumar, 100, and now we intend to do more and more this year. So just to give you an idea, this is the film you're going to be watching today, Amar Akbar Anthony, one of the classics. In fact, somebody asked Mr. Bachchan, how is it possible to have blood to all three people at the same time in one go? But that's the director Manmohan Desai. You don't reason with him. You just go with the flow. It was a 4-day festival, 11 iconic films in 17 cities across 22 cinemas in October 2022. And these are where we screened these films at the same time. All the cities from north to the south to the east. And I knew that if this experiment works, then heritage films are back. And this was the beginning of people coming back to the theaters. These are some of the films we screened. And I am going to play a video after this. And you can see, yep.
रपट जाए तो हमें ना उठाइयो I can leave Angrez behind. I can talk English, I can watch English, I can not English, because English is a very English.
It was unbelievable. And these videos are shared by people, fans, and it was an unbelievable experience in October because I don't think this kind of success they've seen for many, many. And this success, of course, led us to do Dilip Kumar, who was a senior actor than him of the 1950s. And I was able to screen them too. And that also became a success. And it just sort of made me believe that people are willing to see 1950s films and come to theaters. And we had a great audience even for these films. So there is hope. There is an audience. It just depends how you bring it to them, and especially the young generation. How are you going to bring it back to them? And I think these two festivals really made me believe in the future of heritage. Very important, you've got to reach out to people, the common man. You've got to make it easily accessible to him where he can come and see it. Because normally in India, sometimes the institutions or the screenings which happen, people are so busy because it's all about livelihood, it's about living, it's about surviving. They may not take the opportunity to go to see a retrospective to a different location. They rather have it if it's next door to them. And that's what happened. Yeah. Thank you.